Hi. More Taoist IEDs. IEDs of understanding and education. This is how I win through teaching and much patience. So I'm going to do a video on genealogy of royalty. Now I can tell, describe, or probably already have described, how to birth an Israel, a Jacob, Israel, and his friends and family are Israelites, and they are the explicit definition of royalty. His 14 to 1400,000 friends and family are the explicit what's royalty and royal subjects are. So you look around, and there's a lot of white boys in Europe, aren't there? A lot of white boys. So you see the Holy Roman Empire flag, and you see a black crow with two heads, because the head of the king is, they've taken his head, basically. They killed him, or they tried to kill him, he's probably immortal. And then you see two heads, because it's two heads not better than one. You see two heads splitting into a dichotomy of two towers, basically. It's the same thing. And then all these families who claim to be these 14 to 1400,000 people, friends and family of, Jesus technically in Christianity, because these are Christian royalty, aren't they? And they're white boys, you know what I mean? Islam basically are the 14 friends and family of Jesus Christ, so they are Christian royalty. Islam, that's why Islam are very wealthy, because it's theirs. They have the Christian fortune and wealth. Under Christianity, now this is where it gets interesting. Under Christianity, there's a great star, the rock star. The rock is there, so you can row. There's Jesus' star, unwavering. To me, I used to think of it like a safety net. That no matter what happens in life, you're kind of going to be caught because Christ is there with you. Damien Rockefeller recently removed or abolished this. So you're all very worried, and you don't know why you're worried and panicking. So anyway, about 900. Was it? How do you say this again? I can't remember. 1900 AD, 100 years ago, whatever. Edward Crowley was on the scene, and he was a beast of some sort. He knew a lot, and he told you everybody has a star. He's like, everybody has a star. He's walking around the place, and it's like everybody has. They're all Christians. He was walking around the time of Christianity, and everybody receives a star under Christianity. Again, the Willy Wonka quote that's really clever. Everybody shall receive one, but one is enough for everybody. So the fact that I'm tinkering about this now, trying to deliver this properly. Everybody used to have a star. Thanks, Crowley, for kind of telling the world about that. Because then there became a massive competition. Because, they don't need their stars. They have the Christ star. So they go around harvesting all of your stars. Now, the Vatican typically keep your stars aside for you. I'm not sure how much they use it in the meantime for global persuasion and control. It might be better if everybody was with the Vatican in the sense. I don't know how exploitive they are in terms of orreries. But there's a lot of other copycat gypsies out there. A lot. And they copy the Vatican and they take your orreries. What's terrible about this is royalty or the Vatican won't actually go out of their way like a shepherd to save a wandering or lost sheep. They have too much to lose. They've probably done this before. They have too much on the line to be drawn out. So they will actually let you get cut from the flock by Rockefellers or Miami or Wolves of Wall Street or Bad Roy or anyone these days. Actually, everybody, a lot of people know about it these days. It's terrible. This is where you get all these Illuminatic factions of people who are just harvesting other people's stars. But that's what's interesting about it. White boy royalty or apparent Christian royalty that aren't Muslim, that aren't Islam, they're not actually the friends and family of Jesus Christ. These are the people, the saying that I say scum goes to the top, that's why it's called scum. These are the people who have been harvesting stars efficiently, competitively, for hundreds if not thousands of years, and they are the fattest rats on top. So they've just been revealed basically as the people who robbed the most orreries or gained the most power or harvesting the most amount of people. They're not exactly royalty, they're just the fattest rats in the world. They're not directly related to Jesus. Now there could be other births of Israel, like I've said, and they might have had births of Israel. They know how to birth an Israelite or make a Jacob. I doubt they do or did. They might have happened, and then again they just fought over these as well, and they might have been nowhere near as powerful or potential as Jesus, I'd imagine. Sometimes so. My name actually comes from a higher, further up place than Jesus was way. Jesus was way out on the right. I came from up, actually beyond the place you're not supposed to really come from, and everything is subject to alteration under my name. So that's why the name of the beast will be used to be very powerful, and that's why he used it, or Damon used it to abolish Christianity, and things like Muhammad as well. It just makes them easier to do more messed up and corrupt thieving stuff, because again, Christ would be protecting you and maintaining holy order. So they practically thought it was a bother a nuisance, and they've done what they can to have it all removed. That's why you're really worried, because you don't have your own personal orrery being stolen from you by a pop princess, Rockefeller trash or somebody, and you don't have your Christ rock anymore. So now you're having these inexplicit flurries of worry and concern, and you should be worried and concerned. It's not a time to be not afraid. So that's who royalty are. They're nobodies. They're just the fattest rats. They're the most proficient thieves. Their scum goes to the top, and they're being utterly revealed. They're just star coveters, and they covet and protect their stars, just like the Vatican to their private. Like, this is why you see England going off independent from the Vatican, because they figure they can do it without Christ rock, without the Christ or the apostles, or they just thought they have their own thing and they get by without it. I don't know, I'm not like Christo-fascism. If they could do it and they can do it well and pick up your own crucifix and go on your own way, even Christ would amend or would advise. So yeah, I wanted to talk actually more about this is why actually Germany, Third Reich. This why they went around the place, I imagine, with my proposition in the Third Reich, how to inquire like the Third Reich, and they gave their proposition of socialism to everybody. And it's like, this is only good for everybody. If you don't want to be part of this, you're clearly one of the gypsies coveting and harvesting. So even all the royalty were very aware of this little technical, presumption, or just technical. Yeah, I have no memories. I have no way. Literacy's gone to hell. And they all agreed to it, immediately. They're like, oh yes, Mr. Adolf, yes, you're completely right. We'll all have to agree to this. Yes, good for everybody. And then he'll just run around the world doing this. And then the second, he turns his back on the royalty, they're like, kill him. And so they say, communists out in Stalin time, they're eugenically harvesting communists, even more so than we're harvesting our people. Go fight them, Hitler. And then Hitler did go and fight Russia, and fought communist Russia, and for their eugenic harvesting, because they were technically gypsies in a way, in a different style of gypsy. They were organised, less feudalic gypsy. And then I'd imagine Europe were funding Russia to kill Germany, and Russia told Germany that, and then Germany stopped fighting Russia and went back and started killing all the traitors, all the royalty, who were pretending to fund him and back him with the Holy Roman Empire, and then they completely and utterly traitored him out, I imagine, because they didn't want socialism. They'd just lose. They'd only lose. They're just normal gypsies like you, and they were just the biggest thieves, and scum be revealed. They're not good people then. They just have been harvesting, robbing, and getting you ahead of the game with eugenic theft or star theft. They couldn't explain it really, I think, and they use things like eugenics, so I could maybe explain it better, a bit more mundane, using stars and things like that. So as a royalty or nobody, Islam or actual Christian royalty, if you want to make a great friend in Christ, make a great friend in a person from Islam. And socialism is the only way. Gypsies to refresh the scum that went right to the top. What else did I say? Recapping things. Israel, births of Israel are the birth of royalty. 14 closest to 1,400,000 closest friends and family. It's likelihood that your family are going to be your close friends and loved ones in life, though not necessarily so. Jesus bestowed all his power onto people who weren't his family. Oh no, it's there. But he did that. He could make apostles, but his actual friends and family. I think he did that to take maybe the attention away from his family. And it's not really Moses kind of way. Give it to those 12 fishermen. It's oh yeah, I also wanted to say that. I had a lot more to say. I had it better arranged in my head. But technically, these original apostles, even, so not even 40 close friends, but he made the apostles and he made them. But Rome and Roman royalty, basically Christian royalty is called, killed all these people and took their rories. So they're not actually the friends and family of Christ, because they murdered the apostles. They tore them apart and they stole their orreries, and then that was fueling for competition between loads of AD controversy for 500 years. They're probably fighting over all the apostles' orreries, and the whole sun went dark, and it was it's happened once or twice, in the last 2,000 years. They let it get so bad, 500 years, and then I imagine after the 500 years they tried to start getting the gospel truth around. to diminish all the crappy people saying that they were, I'm the Messiah, and everyone's running around saying they're the Messiah these days. So the Vatican actually murdered all these very important people to the family of Christ, family and friends of Jesus. So they're not really Christian, are they? Like, they murdered them and stole their orreries and then competed and then became the fattest rats. Up until Constantine, I don't know how much things changed under Emperor Constantine or he converted to Christianity. The sword of Elisha will consume the entire world, basically. Christianity is the same. I myself, my burning bush will consume the entire world. Much quicker this time. Much, much quicker. Thanks to modern technology and communications being used inappropriately. You're meant to save you. The communication potential was the thing that was meant to save you in delivery this time. And it's the one thing that actually spread it like wildfire, even worse. And it'll consume the entire world anyway, so Constantine just realised this. I think it's Constantine. Realised this, and he just got on the right side of the boat and then took control of Christianity. Because he knew it would consume the entire world. They thought it would be hell on earth, and they thought it would be hell on earth if you could see it. But if you think this Royal magazine is called Hello, that technically means hell on earth. If you say hello, that phrase means hell on earth. But they say it sarcastically. They say, it'll be hell on earth when everyone's Christian, and it'll be absolute nightmare. And then they're like, hello, and it's wonderful, and they're like showing off how nice it is and how they can put their faces on a magazine and sell it and say hello as if it's not hello. They said it would be absolute hell on earth when it consumes the entire world and be devoured. It will in one way and it won't in the other way. It is either a burning bush or a temple, and you'll have a lot of people, gypsies and merchants, clinging desperately onto this, two towers again, clinging desperately onto this or one person that you have to recognise. So when you recognise one person, you have Avalon, I imagine, and then when you got many different peoples of many different nations, you have Babylon. You have lots of different people fighting over it and competing in the temple. Their competition in the temple is called Armageddon. You don't compete in a temple. You don't do very much in a temple, but very little you do in a temple. The truth, or whatever it is you do in a temple, very little. So you have Avalon, and that's where you respect Jesus Christ. You have Avalon under Christ, but then if you don't have that, then you have gypsies competing, and it's a burning bush, and it's a nightmare. It's all for one and one for all. I could talk for ages about it. If you're all going to have to you're all going to have to perform the duties of one person, and they're all going to share this, and they call it a workload. And they're all going to everybody's going to have to do the job of one person instead of one person doing the job for everybody. And they're all fighting over this job because it's probably very wonderful. It was stolen from me very quickly. They turned it into just sex and brothels and competitions. And that's what's in the temple, and that's what's going to be on earth. Like I said, if you war in the temple, you have Armageddon, and you have war on earth 7 years later, and they do horrible, profane, disgusting, brothely things, you'll have terrible... you'll have these things in the future. You'll have a defiled earth, actually. Like, technically what they did is defile the temple, so your earth will be defiled. I can't remember where I was going with this. Antichrist Pope or Antichrist Church and Vatican, Antichrist royalty, technically. People are murdered. I'm just going to end on this little thing that I thought, just because we're there about the temple and things. You need to recognise one person as the gospel truth about the matter. That's why you got the gospel truth. And everyone recognised one person did not recognise the falsehood at the end, which is false prophets and people. It's very heartbreaking. It's very disconcerting I know it's very disconcerting to higher places that when you don't believe and you get it wrong. Specifically in this case, when you believe in the wrong people, you glorify the wrong people, you credit the wrong people in this situation. It's very, very problematic. It's heartbreaking in some way. It's worrisome because it will lead to 100 years of misunderstanding, and it's very worrying. In the first 7 to 14 years, that's when the crux of this seed of the spiral really starts, and then you won't be able to stop it. You won't be forgiven. The whole world won't be forgivable for hundreds of years, depending on my temperament. Just going to end on this little thing I thought yesterday, since we're just talking about morality and dignity in the temples, or orreries, basically, but then some orreries are very high and holy. I did want to say more. In Ireland we have a public house, and it's typically next to the church, and then you have a post office in town, and that's typically what an Irish town is a post office, a church, and a pub. I'm pretty sure they did this to the Irish to explicitly demonstrate, because Paddy has a hard time learning. This is stuff you do in a public house, and it's explicitly different to this building here, which is called a church. So at the moment, Paddy and all Sinn Féin mafia and royalty and lots of other people are defiling a church, my orreries, holy orreries, as if it was a pub or a brothel. There's gossip in the temple, there's merchants, there's commerce in the temple, there's business, there's a brothel upstairs in this place. These are things you put next door in the public house. So they make it very explicit to Paddy so you could understand it. These are things you do in a pub, Paddy. You drink, you talk, you laugh, you smoke. You wind up your neighbour's wife maybe or something. You do not do these things in this building next door called a church, Paddy. And I just make it very simple for you, Paddy, to understand. This is a church, Paddy. This is a pub. You don't do this stuff. My battery's about to go here. But yeah, that's for Ireland. They have a hard time learning. They're very new to all this, and they're going to be the death of you all. They're going to be the death of all of you.